And hello everybody, and welcome back to week 79 of our Minecraft Let's Play series. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing very well this fine week. So, without further ado, I'd like to just go ahead and hop straight into what I have planned for this week because, well, you could probably guess some of the things on this list, let's be honest. Of course, as per usual, villager hall, more masons, nothing new there. I'm really hoping to get everything done with that this week, but that really just turns into how lucky I get with their trades. The piglin bartering gold input, I went ahead and kind of pushed that back last week because I didn't really see reason to do it, but also because of the fact of how much iron it's probably going to take. And that's the reason I've been waiting on this for a while, but hopefully, just hopefully, we can go ahead and get that done. Then the base nether room, we went ahead and talked about the nether like hub as well as just the rooms to surround the nether portals last week, and I want to go ahead and work on the one for our base specifically because that's the one we're probably going to be using the most. Then we have our Jellie statue work. Now, I've got on here more lanterns as well as the base trim, and you could probably guess how much mangrove that is going to take in itself. And let me tell you, it took a while to get all this mangrove wood that we're going to be using for the base, as well as the fact of getting a little bit extra just for using for the building of the lanterns. Then we also have some base decoration on here. I'm not too sure what I'll actually do if we get around to this. And then I have the ice farm as well, which I still don't know a design I want to use for this because I want to have it to be semi-AFKable, but, well, things don't necessarily make that easy. And I also want the farm to work. But that's enough of me blabbing on. You all know what we're going to be starting this week with going ahead and moving in the masons to our villager hall. So we'll go ahead and head into the nether, run over to where our 8 villagers are, start sending them over, and send them through the portal, and then repeat for the other 7 villagers until they are all at our villager hall, which we can now go ahead and send them off to their respective locations, actually being able to leave 2 this time for backup. And with our 6 new villagers in here, it's time to trade with them their brick trades, and then of course the stone trades, now for their rock trades. And now we go ahead and look at these guys' terracotta trades. This guy has red and gray, but he also has granite and polished diorite, so we might want to keep him because this would be great to have. We'll see though. This one has a nether quartz trade, so I'm sorry, you have to go. This one has brown glazed terracotta and light blue terracotta, and I don't really want to have another diorite trade at the moment, so bye. This one has red glazed terracotta, which we actually need. Also has polished granite and a dripstone block. Sure, we'll keep you, but that is a little tight on our trades then. This one has lime and pink, neither of which we need. Bye, sir. And this one has blue and magenta, neither of which we need. Bye. And I guess we'll keep this guy for the time being. He's a little debatable on the trades, but we'll keep him just in case, but we can at least mark him to show that we can always switch him out because he doesn't have trades that need to stay, if that makes sense. So we'll mark him the same way we did the other one, just put another block of diorite over here. These 2 are not required, but we still have 2 more villagers left, so let me go pull those guys. I almost forgot about them, which these 2 have gray and purple, colors we don't need, and cyan and white, also colors we don't need. However, I think I might trade out the villager who has diorite and dripstone in trades we already have for diorite and andesite, because dripstone is already at 6, andesite is at 5 currently, so move the marker over, disappear, go ahead and fix these signs to say the correct things, and now we're fully done with our villager trading for this week. So we now went from needing 6 villagers to 4, but 2 of them don't have colors we need, and we're still missing 3 in the form of light blue terracotta, brown terracotta, and magenta glazed terracotta. So yeah, that's currently where we sit with all of that now. Hopefully we get these guys soon. I was hoping that we'd have a lot better luck with this week, but you know, I can't really control that. But anyway, let's go ahead, head back to our base, and we'll get started on the next thing. And that is that I want to do a little bit of decorating around the Jellie statue. Nothing too much, I just want to add a few more lanterns and finally the trims around the platforms, which as you can see right here, I actually have everything already completely laid out for what we need. So we'll be taking this shulker box and heading over there, so I will meet you guys where Jellie is. Alright, and here we are, the Jellie statue that we spent a lot of time on last week, at least with all this. And now we are finally actually going to do something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is the trims around here. So the way we're going to be doing these is I have a bunch of this mangrove wood that we're going to be using, and we're going to be just placing it like so. We're going to keep this all a consistent direction for the platforms, and then once we get around the entire thing, like that, we go around and strip it so that we get that lovely red color. And then that's what the platform's supposed to look like. Does it look a little bit strange at the moment? Yes, but I think eventually we'll get used to it. It's probably just because of the fact that, well, I have not done this and I've been meaning to for a while. So I'm going to go ahead, put the border around all of these, and we'll see the finished product. And there we go. There is all of the circles having the red trim around them that I meant to have for them a long time ago, honestly, because, well, I just thought it looked nice and it, you know, mirrored how this was over here. So now the other thing I want to do, and actually the last thing I want to do at the Jelly statue for the time being, is I want to go ahead and implement the lanterns that we've been doing. And I'm just going to show you guys the spacing first. So there's going to be one in each of these corners at this intersection. And then there's going to be a space of 4 here, space of 4 here, that's 3 here, you know, mirrored on the other side. And then it is going to be the same over here. So yeah, this is where all the lanterns are going to be for this strip. And then we're going to go ahead and put them on all 4 corners. So that's going to take a bit. Don't worry, I won't subject you guys to watching me do all that. I'll just show you guys the finished product as per usual. So I'll see you guys in a moment. And there we are. A lot of lanterns in one condensed area. And that now makes it so that skeletons or whatever spawn on the edges instead. Yeah, let's give it a little bit of a fly around and see how it looks from above. Yeah, it's about what I expected. We definitely needed to figure out what I'm going to do for lighting in those darkened spots, but I think for all that's worth that the lanterns add a quite nice, like, decoration. And yes, we'll need to figure out what else to put here besides the lighting, but that is a future problem. For now, let's head back to our base and we are going to work on whatever I have planned next, which I'm not even sure, so I'll figure that out when we get there. So I'll meet you guys over there. And now that we are actually here, what do you say that we go ahead and work around on things at our base? And you might be thinking, alright, well you went ahead and built a windmill around here, so what is the next thing that you're planning on building? And it's not actually a thing of what new buildings can we go ahead and put into our base, but instead, well, what if I want to go ahead and change some of the builds we have currently? One of them actually being this bridge right here. And you might be wondering, all right, what do I want to change about this bridge? Well, I actually want to go ahead and make this a flat bridge instead of something that increases, just because of the fact that from an outside perspective, I don't know why this just bothers me. I don't like it. The walls increase and they're just deep slate tiles. I think I built this a little early on, and while it's not horrible, I just kind of wanted to change it to be, well, flat, which shouldn't be too hard, I believe. We do have to knock down the lanterns by 1 to get this, and then we also have to go ahead and remove this path, probably reinstate it some way else. And then I might do a little bit of more detailing with the sides, but I'm gonna go ahead and just work on it on my own, and then you'll go ahead and see what the finished product looks like. So give me a few minutes. And here it is. This is now how the path looks with it actually being brought down. And I like this a lot better for a few reasons, actually, that I didn't expect to change when I did this. But first of all, obviously, the bridge now does not have like a really weird sloping effect. I don't know, I like the bridges and all of our buildings to be more uniform than the terrain around it. It also, however, kind of fixes the issues I've been having with the terrain with these overhangs just kind of looking a little bit bulky. It was mainly because of the fact that it was bulky up here, so I was able to go ahead and kind of curve them a little bit more. This incline used to be over here, which then caused this whole path to be kind of noisy, and it still kind of is. I could probably fix this a little bit more, but all in all, I honestly really like how this looks, and the fact that these lanterns now are completely in the same position as these ones, I think is good. I don't know, we can probably still do more with this area, definitely. Maybe even having a tree here now to kind of break up the area a bit, but I like how how this turned out. And this is probably a change I should have made a while ago. And the other thing I wanted to do was to go ahead and actually give the inside of here some work because, well, it's obviously barren, it's not completely finished on the ends, and it could just use a facelift in general. So the way we're actually going to start this is we're going to go up to the top floor first and work there, but I also need to go ahead and knock out some holes for decoration purposes. And I think when it comes to decorating each floor, what I'll just end up doing probably is I will go ahead, decorate the floor, and then show you guys how it looks after the fact and kind of explain what I did. So give me a moment. Okay, this is what I did with the top layer. This is actually the side that the windmill is coming into from, and it is supposedly supposed to be turning these two wheels in here that I have built. Now, there's not much else going on in here. I did add some lanterns and a roof, but this is mainly just supposed to be for decoration. There's not really going to be any use for this floor. And now we go down to the next. Then here is the next floor. It's very simplistic. It all just has the hole from what's supposed to be another gear with the gears that were up there. But you can't see the floor up there, which a little bit oversight on my part, but oh well. And it comes down and it'll keep going down into the room below. And eventually what I'm going to have here at least is two holes here that will be able to come up and down from this floor and the floor below. It's a little bit ironic that we can't see up there anymore, even though I did some detailing, but at least we'll know that there's something up there, and that's what matters. And now finally here is the bottom layer, and this one, well, I guess also technically has a little bit to do with the middle layer as well. I went ahead and added these posts, which there's one other thing I forgot to do, which was just to cap these off like so, and now we can get from both the middle layer to the bottom layer and vice versa. And the bottom layer also has two layers with a little bit of area beneath if we ever need to do like storage or something, I guess. But I also did this so that we can see out of these windows. You can see our plaza from here, as well as just kind of overlook the little area that we constantly run through, because there's our storage system. And then I tried to emulate kind of what a windmill actually does, which is obviously mill. So we've got the little table in the center that would be used to, well, I believe mill wheat into flour. I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how a mill works, which may be apparent, but oh well. And then, of course, we got a way of getting up to the second floor, thankfully. And I honestly think it just looks quite nice. It's functional, and obviously we've got lighting as well. Instead of the torches, we've got lanterns on all floors, so it looks a little bit more normal than just random torches, and I'm quite happy with how this turned out. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not necessarily entirely done, because we've got places like this where the terraforming outside is less than desirable because I just cut this out, but for the time being, that's going to be a future sky problem. I was more worried about getting the interior of this place done than worrying about the exterior, and I think I did a pretty good job trying to give this a little bit of character. You guys could obviously have, you know, differing opinions, but I think it turned out alright. So now, with that out of the way, and with the bridge behind us also done, what we're gonna do is we are going to head to the nether to talk about one thing and then build another for the final portion of this video. So I shall meet you guys, well, in that portal. And now that we are here, we're actually going to go ahead and head over to our gold farm so that we can gather some to talk about the piglin bartering farm. Well, this should actually be enough to get my point across, so we'll just take this. This is what I want to talk about with this is the fact that the last step that we actually need to do to this bartering farm is the fact that we need a thing to actually input all of the gold from one source into all of these. And that's going to take a lot of iron because we need hopper minecarts, which is 10 iron per, as well as hoppers, which would be more iron. And to be fair, that's not a lot. That's what, 10 hoppers would be 50 iron, and then 2 hopper minecarts would be 20, so 70 iron. So we definitely could do that. But I also want to figure out a way to dispense that iron easily and evenly through these chests, and I haven't done that yet. So that's definitely definitely something I would like to plan ahead on my own time, but for now, we can at least do something satisfying, and that is if we put the gold into here on our own, turn our block sounds down for a good reason this time, and then flick the lever, and it will automatically start going. And once, they actually trade their items, we've seen this before, I believe, but we get to see the satisfying effect of all the items going down there. And another thing is, I want more hoppers down there because, well, this is not enough hoppers to actually take care of all the items. As you can see, they're hitting the end right here usually, so we need a lot of iron because this, having only 5 rows of chest, while it is enough storage space, just is not enough like space to grab everything, because it eventually just sits here and then, well, we're stuck waiting again. But man, does this thing go through gold quickly, because they're already done, and that was, I think, 140 gold. Yeah, we can obviously take the iron nuggets out of here that we get, but this is definitely not going to be enough for the grand scale of how many hoppers I want to add to this thing, which I'm going to honestly probably go ahead and, well, run this on my own time, and hopefully we can get a good amount of iron through that. See, and also those nuggets right there. But yeah, that's kind of where this project stands. I haven't worked on it a bit, so I did want to talk a little bit about it, but now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to our last project for this week, which is actually not too far from here, because we are going to be working on expanding our base portal. Specifically, more the fact that we talked about, developing rooms for these to kind of tell where we are going with these. And I thought, what would be better to do first than the portal that we go through constantly? So that's what we're here to do today. And the way I'll probably do this is just give you guys a progress report every now and then, just to show you guys how it's coming along, and then we'll see the finished product. So first, here's the groundwork we're going to be working with for this portal room. You may notice a few things. One, I went ahead and expanded the portal to a 3x3. That just kind of makes it more centered in the room instead of a 2x2. I also went ahead and put down a layer of deep slate bricks, just for help for me to kind of tell where I need to build in. And you might notice that this is not grass blocks, but instead moss carpets, and that's because the nether gives this really disgusting look of, well, this yellow grass block, and I want to be green just like we have in our base, because what we're going to be building this and basing this off of is the beacon tower in our base, and that doesn't have grass in it, but I wanted to have grass due to the fact that we are obviously keeping a lot of grass in our base. So the walls will resemble the beacon tower, but the inside is going to be like our pathways throughout our base. That is the plan. And then we'll go ahead and make it the walls for this room, just like we have the beacon tower, while also connecting these spots between here. Add the lights on top, just like the beacon. And now you may remember that on the beacon, I have a stained glass pixel art, I guess, of a gear on top, because our town or base is supposed to be kind of steampunk themed. This is obviously a lot bigger than our beacon, so you might be wondering how I'm going to implement that in, or if I'm just going to make it the same size, but that'd be really small for this. Don't worry, I came prepared for that. There we go. This is how it looks from the top. Well, if you can see it, there we go. I think that's a pretty decent way of displaying the gear. I'll even show it from the bottom. And now for the inside decorations, which, for the same reasons as the grass, we are actually going to be using a different type of leaf block than we use in our base, and that's going to be azalea. And also, I'm just going to go ahead and put some moss down where there used to be grass, because it'll give us greenery. And finally, with a little bit of decoration, this is where we end up with the room. Now, it still does look a little bit bare bones in the center, and there is actually a reason for that. And that is because of the fact that I was originally going to have the pathways like we do have in our base go to the edges here, but I don't want to have those if they're not going to be used as tunnels, because I'm not sure if there's going to be a tunnel here. There probably is going to be one here, possibly here, and possibly here. But I'm not sure about that for now. now, so I didn't want to add those and then decide to remove them later, so we'll just keep them how they are now. But yeah, the decoration with the bushes is now complete, and now that it is, that's actually going to be it for this week. Yeah, it's a lot of small detailing things that I wanted to do, I guess, besides this, because of the fact that this is actually a completely new build, and I'm quite happy how this turned out. But yeah, we went ahead and, of course, imported more masons into our villager hall. Not done with it, but we're getting close, hopefully. Then we went ahead and added the base trims around each of the platforms around the Jellie statue, while also introducing more lanterns, and probably the last lanterns that we'll be putting into that build. Next, we went ahead and added some things to our base, more so the interior of the windmill, as well as fixing a bridge that has been irritating me for a while. We finally came into the nether after that, talked about our piglin bartering system, as well as got this built. So all in all, I'd say that's been a pretty good week. But yeah, that is going to be it. I thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this week. You guys all take care. Have a great week. And I will see you guys hopefully in the next one. All right, take care and bye-bye.